Once there was an explosion, a bang which gave rise to life as we know it. And then came the next explosion.
Wait!
I never played Death Stranding because the gameplay of a walking simulator didn't look interesting to me. Recently, I stumbled across the game free on the PS5 store, so I downloaded it and gave it a chance. Knowing I could quit as soon as I got bored, I now regret waiting. This experience is far more than a walking simulator. For the first time in years, I find myself asking aloud to myself, what is happening? In most cases, when I ask this about a game, in the past anyway, it was in a negative way. Like, what is this garbage? This time, I'm asking the question in a good way, while playing a video game. After the first hour of Death Stranding, I'm confused, and more importantly, I care about untangling the webs strung before me on the screen, causing my confusion. For once, I actively don't want to be confused by the mysteries being shown. I think the reason for this is I'm not confused by this world, despite its many mysteries in the story. The world Sam is living in, I understand completely. The tone of the game, the immediately apparent sense of loneliness and despair, yet the desire for connection, clearly presented as a string, keeping everything together, resonates with me on a level few games ever have. In other games, while sure there are story elements I want to see how the events play out, rarely do I feel this pull, this urge, almost a need to discover the answers. In LA Noire, for example, where the entire point of the game is to solve mysteries, I never cared about those mysteries, as is the case for most mysteries in game stories I encounter. In Death Stranding, there's something more going on, and I need to know how Sam will solve it, because the mystery is so familiar to me. Yet the answer is something I am in continuous search of. At least at first glance, the mystery at the heart of Death Stranding is like that within my own mind. Something beyond the veil, that I can't stop myself from desperately clawing at to try and uncover. The game is asking questions I grapple with constantly regarding my own lived experience, in more fantastic, yet immensely relatable ways. Death Stranding begins with scenes of a vast, yet empty landscape, with melancholic, yet hopeful, music scoring the scenes. A lone man soon enters the vast, seemingly empty world, but we soon find he's being pursued by a mostly invisible force that soon is represented by a storm that is growing and that soon rains down on the lone man, making anything it touches age faster. With the storm comes an invisible monster that we soon learn is on the other side, leaving footsteps in pursuit of the lone man. These forces have the ability to force the man into hiding, making him unable to go out into the world, and even brings him to tears he has no way to control in what is described as an allergy to the thing that's pursuing him. Though I do not yet know what is happening, I understand this monster pursuing the man. Having battled depression on and off for most of my life, and most of all during the isolation of COVID lockdowns, I know the battle Sam Bridges is facing, seemingly alone. In an interview with French site Telerama, Hideo Kojima talked about various aspects of both the game as well as his life. The loneliness of Death Stranding was informed by Kojima's own struggles with depression and loneliness, and the inability at times to relate to the people around him. In that interview, Kojima said, "As a child, I felt, and still do feel a little today, loneliness, and I struggled to express it to my friends. It was something that was not said, and I don't think they would have really understood it. I felt like a weird person, a little like Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver. I identified myself in what the off-axis person in Scorsese's film felt. I realized that I was not sick, just linked to others through a kind of melancholic connection specific to the human condition." Though I certainly don't know Hideo Kojima, through this game, I think I understand, at least a part of him, a whole lot. The experience of feeling alone, weird, and different in a crowded world is something many of us feel. Much of the time, I live inside my own head, wishing for the ability to connect more to the world outside it. In fact, that's where this YouTube channel started and came from. It showcases my attempt to provide connections for myself and others in the world. Much like Sam the game, where other players can leave stuff behind for others to find and use during their own solo playthroughs of the game, the simple act of doing something someone may find provides a much needed feeling of connection. Whenever I came across something left behind in the game, I interacted with it, with a like.
Thanks for the help.
I let them know I was there and I see them. They are not alone, much like I do on YouTube videos I come across and connect with. This simple act of clicking a button to acknowledge, connect with a stranger, immediately gives me motivation to keep moving, and to maybe leave something behind for the next lonely player to find and use. A simple nod, saying, "I see you," could be enough to keep a lonely or depressed person moving when all they want to do is quit. Sam prefers to travel alone. He is reluctant to travel with others. He wants it that way, needs it that way, but is haunted by the fact that it is that way. He travels with a picture in his pocket, longing to not be alone. At the game's intro, Sam is alone, but slowly he is reintegrated into the community of the United States that still exists. Though he fights it at first, he finds meaning and purpose, and more importantly, community and belonging. Though there is no escaping the urge to give in to his feelings of separation, of weirdness, and not belonging with others, this community keeps him stranding rather than stranded in his state of despair. He has hope of escaping, of getting out of this hole where he hides from others. For me, the connections of the world I maintained during moments of despair, like work, a few friends or family, strangers on the internet, kept me from being lost forever in the dark with the faint lights they provided. Despair comes from a lack of hope and uncertainty about the future. Sitting still solves nothing. We must keep moving, taking one step, then another, over uneven terrain. On our journey, we stumble and fall. We get back up, collect what is scattered to the ground but is salvageable, leaving the rest behind. The push in Western culture to drive each other apart by our differences, rather than connecting via what makes us the same, has led to a crisis of despair in our society. For almost 40 hours now, I watched as Sam battled the looming threat of depression, isolation, and loneliness, hopelessness, and despair. I watched as he did the only thing any of us can do under these circumstances: get up and walk. After over 2 years of hiding beneath the weight of my own experiences with these feelings, standing and walking is what finally broke me free. I went outside every single day to climb a mountain, more of a hill, really. I climbed over 1,000 feet, no matter the conditions, rain, snow, or intense heat, and I walked. I walked over uneven terrain. I stumbled often, and even fell a few times. At first, the simple act of walking over this uneven terrain was difficult. My legs were weak from years of underuse. My mind was fighting my body, telling it to stop moving and go back to hiding in my cave. Every bench I passed on the trails, my mind told me to sit and rest. At first, I gave in and I listened. But the more I walked, the more my mind fell into line. Each day climbing the hill, I knew the view at the top. The view of the river, the road, the train tracks, and the terrain on the other side of it all. As I climbed each day, I passed a person or two. At first, I put my head down, moved over, and let them pass. After a few weeks, I began to look them in the eye, smiled, and said hello to my fellow travelers. And eventually, after almost a year of walking, alone but connecting with the world and the people in it again, my depression, loneliness, and despair dissipated. To this day, when I feel it creeping into my mind from the other side, trying to pull me into its darkness, I keep walking, using the simple, yet at times difficult act as my stick to fight off the darkness. I walk and I connect with other people in the world, complete strangers, who in a simple smile or greeting, lift my spirits, my resolve, and remind me why, as humans, we keep fighting.
A strand is part of rope or bond, while stranding means being washed up on the shore. And being stranded is when you can't go home.
No matter how alone we may feel, we are not alone. We are all in this together. There is always someone who is there to help us. And when we are okay again, who we can help on their own journey, their own slow march towards reconnecting with hope. The invisible string that connects us all, the shared feelings of loneliness or despair, the shared desire for purpose or meaning, the connections we need, they can't be found, felt, or created unless we stand up, go forth into the world, and walk. No matter what, we rise, put one foot in front of the other, and we walk. We walk so we can find others who can help us. Or to find someone who needs our help. To me, that is more than enough meaning for this life. Will you stand with me? Stand with me and connect with those still stranded alone on the beach of despair. Will you remind them to grab our rope and help us pull them from that place? Who will take up their sticks and fight the darkness that threatens to consume us all? With our connections, we may become lost, but we are never stranded. If you need to remind yourself you are not alone in this world, leave behind a comment on this video, and you will see. We are connected if we are willing to look. Be brave enough to grab the ropes that connect us, left behind by those who have been to the place you are in. Pull on the rope to help you stand and walk. You are not alone. We'll be waiting for you on the beach. Stand up, go forth into the world, and walk.